Interesting question. This first question, in fact, Hobbit and I got these all from people over the first couple of years, people that were a little bit nervous about races. What time should we get there for the 6 o'clock start? What time should you get there for the 8 o'clock start? Since we're having a 6 o'clock start and an 8 o'clock start. So what time should you get there? What do you think, Hobbit? What time should you get there?
I don't
You're
think
going
you
to
should
start at 6
get
o'clock.
there.
I tell you this, you need to be there before 6, for sure.
Yeah, I don't think you should be. We've had some trouble in the past with people just wandering up and starting whenever they feel like it. And that's kind of annoying. So there will be, we haven't really set on, they're not getting a time, and they're not, you can't start in between the two. If you're going to start at 6, be there in time to cross the start line at 6. And the 6 o'clock start will be a lot less people than the 8 o'clock start. So it's not going to take, you may be back of the pack for the 6 a.m. start, and you just started, because there's not going to be that many people. It'll be about, right now I've got about 600 people signed up for the early start. So it's not going to take long to start 600 people. Be sure, and does everybody know where the start line is? Not at the Capitol, but at Capitol and Scott. Because when we had the 20-miler, several people showed up at the Capitol. And then we're like, oh, Capitol and Scott. I didn't see the and Scott. So Capitol and Scott is where the start line is.
If you don't think you're going to probably want to go to the porta potty before you start, let me remind you that yes, you are. And the closer it gets to the time to start, the longer the lines get. It's not unusual at all to wait, 10, 15 minutes in line? So if you're thinking, well, I'll get there about 7:45 and jump in, I'll go get in the porta potty and I'm out of here. No, we won't do that. So you got that little issue. You got to park, you got to get there. And I think Hobbit talked about this in one of her emails. I know I've heard her tell people a bunch. When you're picking out where you're going to park, where would you think would be a better place to park? Where you're going to start from or where you're going to finish at? 10-4. You're definitely going to be happier if your car is where you are, not, oh, man, I was right here at the start line. Okay. Now you got to walk back to there after you've run 26 miles, and you may not be as happy about that as you might have been. So for the corrals that you're in, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, last year, I think that by the time they got to about the next to the last corral, it had been 2 eternities and 3 centuries. And all the people in the front of the A corral had all finished and gone home. So what they decided is that was a really great idea on paper, but it really didn't work. So as far as I know, we are not going to use a wave start this year. We're just going to basically kind of do like we do at training and say go. So
except you will be
good
in a
luck
corral.
trying to run through all them people in front of you. That really isn't going to happen, but we're not going to hold people and say, okay, you got to wait 4 or 5 minutes till that group moves out. We're basically, that's one of the reasons we moved over where we are, is because there's a long straight stretch and everybody can get going right away, and it'll speed that up a lot. I don't think it'll take us longer than maybe 10, 15 minutes to clear the whole deal. So if you're the very last person, from the time the gun goes off to the last person, I'm kind of expecting 15 minutes roughly. That pretty much fit your model? Yeah, that's kind of the model. That maybe 18. Don't hold me to that, but it's not going to be an hour, and it was an hour last year. So like I said, on paper it looked really good, but it really didn't work very well in practice. So that's part of the shuffle of the course, is to get rid of that 3rd Street turn so that we can get people going. Okay, so now we know kind of what to do on the starts, either at 6 o'clock or 8 o'clock. It says, so where do we go when we get there? And oh yeah, we're going to sign in. Where's the book, right? You're coming to training, you got to sign in, you got to remember to scratch off. So where's that going to be? Here's the deal: you don't have to sign in. You don't even have to do like when you go check in at the airport. You don't have to go do a strip search or any of that stuff. Just go find your corral and get there before they start. That's really all you're responsible for, okay? I would recommend, if you are in a group where you run with people, either you're going to run together or you're at least going to huddle up and start together, make a plan about where you're going to be so that you all know this is where we're going. There are going to be How many people are in the 10K? How many does
Why
that
do you
hold?
ask me things like that?
7,000, 7,000?
No, not in the 10K.
6,000? How many?
1850.
1850. So call it 2,000. There's 7, 10, 12,000 people going to be down there in that area, plus all their friends and wives and husbands and children and dogs and cats and oh my. So you're going to get down there and all of you want to be in this one little spot with 12,000 other people. Pick a spot to meet because you may not find each other if you don't. Okay? Particularly if you come in separate cars from separate places. The other thing that Hobbit can testify to, I know, pick a spot on the course. If you're planning to run with somebody that you've trained together, you're going to run together, it happens that you'll get separated at the beginning. Somebody will have gone to the porta potty and say, here, hold my stuff. And then guess what? Gun goes off, you don't have any choice, off you go. And now that person you've trained with for this whole entire time, you're never going to find them. 12,000 people are going to be going down that course. So pick a spot. I've used a number of times, I've used wherever the 1 mile marker is. That's where, if you get there and I'm not with you, stay there. And if I get there and you're not with me, that's where I'm going to be. It doesn't have to be the 1 mile. It can be anything that you agree on, but agree on it up front so you guys know what happens. It's the best, some of the best agreement you've ever done in your whole life if you're running with somebody. It's wonderful.
And if you're not, just pick up whoever's at the 1 mile mark.
Yeah, there you go.
So you look like you need somebody to run with.
Yeah. Pacer's going to have a sign on a little wooden rod. It's going to have balloons, and it's going to have a little sign on it. It's going to say like 4:30. And there's going to be one that says 5, and there'll be one that says 6, and there'll be one that says 3, 3:30, 3:15. Those people, it's okay to trip them, by the way. They don't need to be that fast. Okay? And they're going to, hopefully, if things go like we plan, they're going to be staged kind of appropriately through the corrals so the 8-hour pacer should be in the last corral.
Well, they'll be starting at 6.
Well, the 6-hour pacer, excuse
Okay.
me. The 6-hour pacer should be back in the back. Now, every once in a while you get one, they get really happy and you'll find the 6-hour pacer and he can't figure out why nobody's with him and he's in the 3-hour corral. So that's the plan. It doesn't always work. But if you want some help with somebody to keep up with, to help keep you honest, some of us want somebody to kind of pull us along at 4 hours and that's where I want to be, or at 5 hours and that's where I want to be. Some of us want to use that to keep from getting ahead of ourselves because everybody gets excited and you're going to start faster than you intended. You'll have the best 2 miles of your life. But it really sucks at the last 2 miles because you really have to pay for that. So you want to start slow, and that's an easy way to do it. So, okay, I'm going to keep the 4.5-hour pacer in sight, or I'm going to keep the 6-hour pacer. You might want to slow down and keep the 3-hour guy in sight. Okay, good for you. But they're out there, and all they want you to do is just kind of, if you're going to run with them, kind of group up, make yourself known, and they're going to run through. Generally, it's pretty nice to have the discussion, and most of them have done this before, and they'll lead the discussion. But what are you going to do at the water stop? Because some pacers are going to run you through the water stop, and you're on your own. Some pacers are going to walk through every water stop so you can get water at every one. It's all up to them, and you want to know kind of that plan. If you're used to running without stopping, and you get with a pacer that's doing Galloway, so he runs 2 minutes and walks, and runs 2 minutes and walks, you're not going to stay with him very long. Or her very long. It's not going to be your thing. So always get a couple of things. But they're out there strictly to help you understand kind of the dynamics of the flow. If the 4-hour person is going to run, and their job is to finish between about 3:59 and 4:01. And as a general rule, they work hard at it, so they generally hit it within 25 seconds or so. Okay. The other question that will get race day more than anything else, if you're a half marathoner, there will be no half marathon pacers. They're all marathon pacers. But if you're running a half, you're going to run the first 11 miles with the marathon group. So you can run 11 miles with the pacer of your choice, just divided by 2. The 4-hour guy is going to be, he would be a 2-hour marathon pacer for 11 miles. And
Half
you're on your own
marathon.
for 2.
Half marathon pacer.
Excuse me.
And
half, I'm sorry.
there will be a pacer booth at the expo.
Right.
And they are also speaking. Isn't there a pacer where they talk
Yeah, they're
about
gonna
what
talk.
they're, and I'm not sure what time that is. It's probably in your booklet. It'll be listed online. So if you are wanting to run with a pacer, go by the booth, and they will have the pacers. Different pacers will be working. So you might not hit the one that you want to talk to, but you might find out when they will be working.
Yeah. And they'll have pace bands there that you can pick up. So if you want to see, where you should be at mile 1 and mile 3 and mile 5, they have those and that kind of thing. Pacers are a very good thing, and they don't get offended if you decide, okay, I'm going on, or if you drop back. They don't get paid by how many people get finished with them. They're just out there doing that, and if one finishes with them, they're happy. If 100 finish with them, they're still happy. So it's all good. So you kind of bump in and out of that group if you like.